This week, I'm back with my brother Matt. We're doing a top 5 horror movie countdown. Awesome conversation. Brought back a ton of memories. Think you'll really enjoy it. This is the Randy Forcier podcast. If you can do me a favor, if you're watching this video on YouTube, please like it and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, also subscribe. There's a new Instagram account. Be on the lookout, follow, trying to share as much info as I can, grow the podcast. Appreciate the support. Hope you enjoy the episode. My brother Matt for another top 5 podcast. How you doing,
Let's
pal?
go. I am so fired up for this one. Seriously, because
what are we doing?
We're doing top 5 horror movies. Halloween is right around the corner. Obviously, it's the best time of year. October by far is the best month. I'm all in on pumpkin season. All in on horror movies. Weather's perfect.
All in on pumpkin spice lattes.
That's what I'm exactly having right now. So yeah, October's the best time of the month, and this is my favorite genre. So I'm excited to be able to do this with you.
You're gonna dominate today. So big Halloween guy. I had a couple questions for you before we get started.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. This is gonna set the stage for what we're doing today because I feel like we're doing horror movies, but it's also like scary movies, Halloween movies to some degree. Yeah. There's some things that we kind of have to define. So I'm going to just ask you these questions. Let me know what you think. You're the boss. You're the Halloween guy, so I'm following your lead. All right? Are all zombie movies horror movies?
I'm trying to think of like Shaun of the Dead is like a horror comedy. I would say...
Is that like a genre that qualifies for this?
All zombie movies, because the first thing that comes to mind is World War Z, and I'm like, is World War Z a horror movie? You know, I wouldn't know if I'd consider World War Z a horror movie, but for the sake of this, I would say yes. If zombies are included, it is a horror movie. Yes.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Can comedy movies qualify for this? But there's a couple that come to mind.
The main, like if the main purpose is to make you laugh and not scare you, then I would say no. You know what I mean? Like if there are obviously horror movies that have
scary movie doesn't qualify.
Scary movie I wouldn't qualify as a horror movie. But that's what I thought of. I thought of the same thing too. But like if the intention is to make you laugh and not like scare you at all, then I feel like it can't be a horror movie.
So it has to take itself a little bit serious.
Yeah, I mean, I have some movies we thought that like were very funny and have funny elements, but it's definitely not comedy. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I've looked at dozens of lists of top Halloween movies, or horror movies, I should say, and I keep seeing these movies on the list. We've talked a little bit about Alien, Jaws, and Predator Halloween movies, or horror movies, I should say, because I see them on the list repeatedly.
Okay.
I do not consider them horror movies at all, but someone does.
Yes. All right. So I feel like Jaws, which I picked as my favorite movie of all, I don't consider that a horror movie. I know it is on a lot of lists, and people it doesn't make any sense. I mean, when it came out, it was like petrifying to people. I mean, and it really genuinely did scare people. So I couldn't, but I don't know. It's like, you know, when you see it, I can't picture it being a horror movie. Predator.
It blows my mind.
Predator is like an action movie. I think
what is that even? It doesn't even make any sense that would even.
Predator isn't a horror movie. Aliens, I do consider a horror movie, a horror sci-fi movie. Again, the tagline for Alien is "In space, no one can hear you scream." Like that's like a horror movie tagline. You know what I mean?
And it's a tense movie, but I do think it's an anomaly in the sense that like alien movies are not on this list in general. Like I don't consider Aliens to be like a thing that is classified as a horror movie. Right?
Yeah, I know.
Or am I wrong?
I agree. The first Alien that came out was much more like slow pace alien kind of in the background, kind of stalking the prey. That one had more elements. Aliens, like when James Cameron took over, that was almost more of an action movie at the time. Yeah. But like, I would consider Alien. I know people are going to be like, why Predator? Why not Alien? I just think Alien is more horror and Predator is more action.
Okay. Do horror movies have to have some type of supernatural aspect to them? Or can horror movies be bad people doing bad stuff? And that
absolutely. Bad people doing bad stuff. I mean, think of a lot of slasher movies or serial killer movies or something along those lines. I can think of, a few. off the top of my head.
I can think of none.
Yeah, well, okay, like Get Out, for instance.
Like my whole list has like some supernatural aspect to it, maybe a couple things, and even then I wouldn't have put them on if I didn't see them on someone else's list.
But like Texas Chainsaw Massacre has no supernatural element at all.
That's fair.
I would say
I'm not up to date with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre lore. There might be some
maybe
stuff going on there.
Maybe.
But no, I agree with you. That one seemed just like weirdo people.
Definitely.
You know,
Get Out.
definitely.
Like, have you seen Get Out? Like, Get Out doesn't have. It has like. Have you ever seen Get Out?
Yeah, I've seen Get Out. Yeah, I mean, I've seen like 75%.
Obviously, like moving your brain to a new body is kind of maybe but that's like medical, not supernatural. But yes, I would say to answer your question though, I would say no. There's not have to be a supernatural element.
Okay. I'm interested to see what's on your list that doesn't have a supernatural element, and then I can probably talk more about it at the time.
Okay. All right. Sounds great.
Lastly, where does Hocus Pocus 2 fall on your list?
I haven't seen Hocus Pocus 2 yet. I know.
The Hocus Pocus 1 is on your list.
Hocus 1. That's a good, like, again, comedy versus horror movie. I mean, Hocus Pocus for, like, our generation was so iconic. Like, everyone watched Hocus Pocus and the movie's so nostalgic. You know what I mean? It's probably on a lot of people's list, and I guarantee you, like, nationwide, it's probably the most watched Halloween movie in the country, every year.
I told you we went to Salem a couple weeks back, and the center of town, they have all these information people that are kind of pointing in the right direction of all the different things going on in Salem. And like, there's like one guy with like a sheet of paper that is handing out stuff of Hocus Pocus locations to go visit. So it's definitely a thing. Kids didn't love, my kids did not love Hocus Pocus 2. I think they liked Hocus Pocus
Really? Oh, yeah.
1. Yeah. But check it out sometime. I figured it would be started to make it.
Well, probably this weekend. Hoping to do it this weekend. So.
Love it. All right. So here's the plan today. We're going to do top 5 horror movies, reverse order, between 2 and 1. We'll do 4 honorable mentions, a little quicker, mentioning different things that we liked about some of those movies. And then when you're doing your 5 and that happens to be my 2, we'll talk about it when it comes up on your list.
That sounds like we've been doing. Hopefully it doesn't happen. This is the one where I don't know if there'll be there could be, we can go over 5, you and me, or we can go 5 for 5. I really have no idea.
I feel like I know what some of your stuff is. I think I'll surprise you with mine. I surprise myself. I'm not like a huge horror guy.
Yeah.
And as with like all the other movies and TV show podcasts that we've done, like a lot of the stuff that I tend to like or consider my favorite stuff is like older stuff for whatever reason. I was trying to think of something. I mean, I was looking on the list, like what's my favorite horror movie of the past 10 years? And it doesn't exist on this list, which eliminates a whole hell of a lot of movies. I'm sure some are on there, or maybe at least one of them I'm interested in makes your list. But like I'm missing some like very important horror movies. But
this is, not to like delay getting the list anymore, but this is like the one genre that has like just absolutely been thriving. And I don't know if you know the streaming service Shudder. Like Shudder is like, that's a streaming service. You get all your Apple TV, Roku, all that kind of stuff. And it's all horror movies. And the content they have coming out constantly is incredible quality. So it's like horror movie. The genre has like never been in a better place. And I just don't have time to watch it all.
I can't wait to hear your list. I'm going to go first because you're the Halloween guy, the horror guy. So I'll let you kind of close it out with yours going after. So I should probably make a decision what my 5 is, right? At this point, like
this moment, yes, you probably should. You're just
looking at. I shouldn't just look at a list of movies that I have no idea what order they are and just randomly pick one. Okay, I won't do that, but I'm kind of doing that. So here's what I'm going to pick. Number 5, It.
Ooh.
But it's the 1993 version with your boy Tim Curry. Because I've never seen the new one. The new one looks awesome, and I can't believe I haven't seen it yet.
Wow.
But I did love the old one. I can't pick the new one if I haven't actually seen it, although I think it looks awesome. And I have read a good amount of the book, and I loved it back in the day. Although I think it was a made-for-TV movie.
It was a made-for-TV movie.
Throw it in there.
It was a made-for-TV movie. It was over 2 parts, just like the new movie came out. But
have you ever seen it, or maybe seen pieces of it?
I don't. I mean, I know of it. I don't think I've seen the full thing because I think it's like 6 hours long. It's a very long.
It's a long movie. It's a long book, but it takes place in a town in Maine, which I always love about Stephen King's books. Love him because he sets all his weird stuff in a fictional Maine town. The first half of the movie is these kids that experience this weird stuff with Pennywise the clown. And then the second half is like fast forward 25 years. They all have to come back and deal with the whole thing. And I think back then when I was a kid, I never had seen anything like that where, now this happens all the time in TV shows. We were just talking about on that silly Game of Thrones spinoff thing about how they take kids and then, fast forward 25 years and kind of fill in all the gaps. Thought it was awesome. Scared the hell out of me. So, number 5.
I'm trying to think. I think it and Kim Curry's performance specifically as Pennywise was like the thing that made clowns scary. Like, I don't know if there was a movie before that showed clowns in a scary light. I mean, he was petrifying. And his character is so iconic. It's a great pick. You would love the new one too. The new one is different vibe, but it's family.
I heard the first part was really good.
Yeah.
So I was like all in to see it, and I think I was going to watch it one night. And then the second one came out. And I heard the second one wasn't quite as good, or people didn't like it quite as much, and it kind of just like
I know. But it's got your boy Bill Hader in it, and then it's got Chastain is in it. It's a great cast, the adult one. The first one is really good though, so definitely check it out. And great pick for that.
Definitely love it. So, all right, you're 5.
My 5 goes back to 1999, The Blair Witch Project. I actually recently rewatched this movie when we were coming up this list. Blair Witch is, when that movie came out, and it came out in 99, so you were about 17 or so. I was like 13 when it came out. How they were marketing it was like it wasn't like actors. Like it was like
real life.
This like really happened.
We go to the movies and I wasn't sure if this was truly a found footage thing that they put on the movies or if it was a fictional thing. Obviously it was.
There was no found footage movies. Like before, like this was like what set off the found footage like craze. And that concept
and Paranormal Activity and it's been that's the next one that comes to mind.
Yeah, Wreck. There's all kinds of different like found footage ones, but Blair Witch and that first one was absolutely iconic. Like with these 3 people, 3 actors the entire time, didn't know who they were, kind of in the woods. And obviously, spoiler to we're over spoiler blanket over everything here. But that ending scene when the girl is in the house with the camera and looks around and the guy is in the corner, standing in the corner, and it was petrifying. The camera falls, you only hear screaming. Blair Witch, the most successful indie movie of all time.
If I remember correctly, it was a fairly slow burn up until that point, and I thought like that ending made it all worth it. But like it was nothing too crazy happened. They obviously found weird stuff in the woods, a lot of walking and talking.
The tent shake was pretty. I remember that was pretty intense.
But like the end, I was like, all right, damn, that was the payoff, and I was pretty happy when we saw that movie too. Loved it. It was an honorable mention for me.
Awesome, cool. I'm glad it made it on the list. So
little overlap.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, you ready for 4 for me?
Yep.
This is something I kind of went back and forth with because of some of the questions I asked you, but I'm picking Beetlejuice as my number 4.
You're not going to get an argument out of me. I think Beetlejuice is like an unbelievable, incredible movie. Like everything about it. But go.
I think I watched, when I look back at all the movies on this list, like Beetlejuice might be one of the ones I watched the most. Just like everything about it, from the model in the attic to like the people being dead, Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin, right?
Yep.
The couple, like they're dead, but they don't realize they're dead. And it has comedy aspects, but it takes itself serious for the most part. Like this serious part, like the seance part, like the whole afterlife situation. And there's something that we can't kind of keep talking about when we kind of do these movies, but the practical effects in that movie. Mm-hmm. Like remember when Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin, their like face like transforms and their noses get really big and the eyes. That's when they found out they're dead and what they could do to scare people.
And the concept of like the underworld and like what that was like, and the guy flying upside down, and the music in that movie is iconic. But it comes down to Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton's performance that's an all-time performance by him. Him as Beetlejuice was his best comedic performance, but also was pretty scary.
I didn't write down when it came out, but I was pretty young at the time, if I remember correctly. And I remember the part where, I don't know exactly like all the context around it, but it's like he says, "Nice fucking model, honk honk," and then kicks over the tree or something. Yes. I think I used to like say that as a kid, and Mom was probably like, "What's
that was like my line. That was like, I think I met our stepdad Dennis. I think I said those first words that came out of my mouth because we had that movie on all the time and stuff. And it's a fantastic movie. Obviously, the iconic. I love the dinner table scene with when Beetlejuice is taking care of all the people and they're singing the song. It's just great.
So good.
Yeah.
young Winona Ryder.
Yeah.
What's her name from Schitt's Creek?
Catherine O'Hara, yeah.
God, why couldn't I think of that? And then, like, the dad is, like, one of those that guys.
He's a that guy. Yeah, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
He's in stuff, but I don't know exactly what his name is.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, buddy.
So my number 4, this is a boring pick, to be honest with you, but I cannot have a top 5 list without this movie being on here. It's Halloween. The original John Carpenter's Halloween came out in 1977.
So that was my next one. So this is perfect.
Great.
We'll go back to that.
Great. I mean, this is a movie you and I have watched, 100 times. It was the first slasher movie, really, that came out there. This was before Jason, before
1978.
1978. Okay, came out. John Carpenter's first movie. Obviously, Jamie Lee Curtis is in it, but it's just a simple story of a slasher going around killing some babysitters and stuff. But what make it is the music, which John Carpenter wrote himself, obviously iconic, and the mask. The mask is...
Great mask.
Do you know the story behind the mask?
I don't know the story other than I know what it is.
Okay.
If you want to say this.
Is that it was like in a Hollywood props department or whatever, and someone had like a face molding of William Shatner from Star Trek around, and they didn't have any money like to buy a mask. They had no money at all on this. And then he ended up just putting some hair on it, and then that becomes like one of the most iconic.
Wow. What a like a great trivia type fact. It's just so funny. Like, it's not my favorite to watch. I enjoy it. Mm-hmm. It's more like it's on the list out of like pedigree, like it just has to be on the list. Like you said, me and Tara tried to watch it. I mean, we did watch it, I think 2 Halloweens ago. She was not feeling it. She's not a horror movie person in general. But like, it wasn't like exactly like hooking her, but definitely deserves to be on the list.
If you look at the pacing of movies now versus the pacing of movies back in 1978, it's like, it's very, very different. But it's just like, it's one of my favorite movies. My ringtone, literally year round, is that theme song. is the Halloween piano playing. It's just such an iconic movie that has so much influence on so much to come. And John Carpenter, real guy, just is a legend, and stuff. So
Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble in Little China and The Thing, which is also a phenomenal movie. So.
All right, so then it's back to you because that was my number 3. So then what's your number 3?
Oh, okay, cool. Back to my number 3. This is a movie. It came out. I'm trying to remember when it came out a few years ago. I was blown away by how good it was. Is Cabin in the Woods.
Big Cabin in the Woods guy.
I was a huge Cabin in the Woods fan. It was by Joss Whedon was one of the producers. Drew Goddard was the director of it. But what it did was it kind of took what you think a horror movie is and just completely flipped it upside down with the concept. That's what I was talking about, because it's also a very funny movie. There's like some laugh out loud moments in that movie, but it is clearly a horror movie. So
you did love that movie. You sold it pretty hard for me. I watched it. I liked it. Didn't love it, but definitely a different concept than like anything that's on this list. I had it on. It won't make the list, but I'm not surprised to hear it on yours. Any big actors in that? I forget who was in it.
Chris Hemsworth was like pre-Thor. Chris Hemsworth was in it. And then there was like the two main guys who were the ones behind the scenes are both like, you see them and you know exactly who they are. One of the guys is from Billy Madison, bad guy, and one of the guys is the stepdad from Step Brothers. But just this is why I don't want to spoil, because I think the twist is incredible and I didn't see it coming.
I mean, is it even possible to see? I don't know.
Yeah. It's just brilliantly written, and I just highly recommend it. It's a fun movie to watch. So, Cabin in the Woods.
Is it on Netflix or anything like that?
It's actually not. I'm looking. That's something I wanted to do, was kind of let you know where this is all streaming, and it might be on Prime. I think Prime's the only place it could be. So, but definitely a movie I recommend.
Love it. All right, so that was your number 3. So we're on to my 2 already.
Wow, we're cruising along here.
Yeah, cruising. But hey, we still got our honorable mentions. Yeah. I have this other little fun thing that I want to do with you. It'll be fine. All right, number 2 for me, Scream. And I don't know if this made your list anywhere or not, but Scream came out in 1996. So here I am, 14 years old. It's like a high school kind of thing. Ghostface is kind of like a new, scary thing that people used to wear that mask, and you'd think that people were doing something crazy. Starts out really hot with the Drew Barrymore murder scene. Great cast. I thought it was a good movie and a great scary movie.
This is my number 2 as well.
Okay.
Right? So we're in the same lineup of this as well. Scream. Okay, so 96. Talk about when it came out. Scream was the movie, the first horror movie I've ever watched at Ryan Nolet's house. Shout out to Ryan Nolet at his house watching this. And I remember watching this movie and being like, I don't know exactly what I just watched, but I absolutely loved it. And that's the movie that got me into everything else. That got me into Jason movie, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween. Because this slasher movie was like very iconically just paying tribute to all those movies. It was very close to being my number one movie. I think Scream is a top-notch horror movie, for sure.
All right. So people in it, Nev Campbell.
Yep.
Drew Barrymore briefly, Courtney Cox, David Arquette.
Yep.
The main bad guys. Mm-hmm. Those guys never got one of the guys was Shaggy on Scooby Doo or something. But those guys never. Matt Lillard is that his name?
Lillard. He was a Shag. Yeah, he was Shaggy on Scooby Doo. He's in Summer Catch. He's been in some stuff, but never ended up. Yeah.
He's pretty funny. Those guys were, I could have seen that movie launching their careers, but in certain ways, it was definitely that for Nev.
She was doing Party of Five at that time, which was a huge show,
she's a big timer.
At the time. And it took all your typical, horror movie tropes of, the young lady just kind of doing her own thing and kind of innocent, and she ended up being such a badass in that film. Obviously, Courtney Cox was, red hot with Friends at the time too. That's where her and David Arquette met and ended up getting married. So talk about a movie that kind of saved the genre. In the 90s, there wasn't many horror movies that came out or that were profitable. This one came out, became a smash success, and really kind of propelled.
So Scream 2 and 3, I've seen.
Yep.
And then was there a big gap until the most recent Scream came out last year?
Yes.
Or was there another one in between?
I think it was 1, 2, and 3. I don't think there was a 4.
And this most recent Scream,
a
continuation of all of it, some of the same characters.
And they're running it back.
Actually pretty good.
Never saw it back. So they're gonna be doing another one with them, and it was an awesome movie. I'm so happy that you put that on there. It's funny that's both our number 2s.
Honestly, I thought about putting it as my number 1.
Me too.
And I probably Scream more, had more of an impact, or seen it more. But number 1 is kind of I think speaks to what this whole list is all about. So we'll get to that after honorable mentions. Unless there's anything else you want to say about Scream.
No, it's just I probably want to watch that later. It's just such a great movie. So I'm glad it's on there. Iconic mask, like you said. So
yeah, definitely.
Screams have a good mask, Yeah,
it was a different kind. Prior to that, it was always these big, what I consider supernatural kind of people, and this was just wow, everyday person could throw this mask on and start freaking stabbing people.
It was crazy, yeah. And I mean, just real quick, the spin of that movie that there was 2 of them, that was pretty shocking. When it happened, when they grab the voice recorder and they go, "Hello, Sydney," and they know it's 2 of them, I'm like, holy smokes! What a great movie.
Awesome movie. All right, so we're on to honorable mentions, and do you want me to go first?
Sure, that's fine.
Right? Yeah. All right, we're doing 4 honorable mentions. I'm just making sure I have all this stuff.
I'm just going to say real quick, my honorable mentions are a little bit different this time. They're not so much my 6 through 9. They're more recommendations of movies that people may have not seen that I just kind of really love. So that's kind of my whole thought process with this one.
Mine aren't necessarily 6 through 9, but they're just to me, classic horror. So I bet you we're going to be a lot different there. I'm interested to see if there's one in particular. I'll bring it up if you don't say it afterwards, but I'm interested to see if you say it. But I guess I'll start with, you're going to love this. It's my Saved by the Bell pick. You're going to love it. Monster Squad.
Oh, this is 10,000 times better than your Saved by the Bell pick. I am so happy. Monster Squad, again, a movie that you and I, that shaped us as young boys. No. I don't want to take it off because this is your movie. So you go ahead.
No, honestly, dude, I haven't seen it since I was 11 years old. So it's I remember everything except for kicking the werewolf in the nards.
Kicked in the nards. We kicked him right
in the nards.
I think we got to and that.
I mean, I don't know. I just had all the classic bad guys, the Frankensteins, the Dracula, the Mummy, and it was a bunch of kids fighting these monsters, and it was awesome.
I own the movie. It's on my Apple iTunes. I watched it just a few years ago. Still absolutely holds up. A fun movie it's like Goonies meets horror movies. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's this group of kids who they know something bad has happened. No one is listening to them. in the world. It's like Stranger Things, kind of. And it's got basically the universal monsters with Dracula and Wolfman.
Yeah, all like the very plain old monsters.
That cool like look that they had. Yeah, Monster Squad, man. I am surprised. I did not know that, but just a super fun movie. I'm happy that it's on the list.
You know, I think you get a sense of how I do these lists. It's like the things that meant a lot to me as a kid. Yeah. I mean, it's not freaking bad. It's not even, I don't even know if it's really a horror movie, but it's like kind of in that realm of having, you know, supernatural people and Draculas and all that stuff. So I figured I'd throw it on there because I knew it'd bring back some memories for you. So
yeah, awesome.
I'm
happy that you did. So one I brought on, you might not have heard of it. I tell a lot of people about this movie. It's called The Invitation. Okay. It came out a few years ago. It's an indie movie. It's on Peacock right now if you have Peacock, or you can get it on Roku as well. This is the concept of the movie, okay? This guy and his new girlfriend got invited to his ex-wife's house and her new husband at a dinner party with all of their old friends. They're now divorced and stuff like that. So they go to the house where their friends are all waiting, and while they're there, the hosts of the party, the guy's ex-wife and her new husband, essentially try to get their friends and him to join a cult. And it's a very, very slow burn, but the last 20 minutes is one of the best payoffs to any movie I've ever seen. So I don't think you've ever heard of it.
That's like quite a statement to make.
I mean, obviously, maybe it's a little hyperbole, but it's like, I remember watching
it's like Cabin in the Woods again.
Yeah, you're going to be like, yeah. I think it's just an awesome horror movie. It's got a very high score in Rotten Tomatoes, and that's one recommendation I wanted to kind of give out there. So that's that.
Okay. Next one for me, I feel like this is very boring, but I kind of throw this in the bucket. I've seen it on the lists, but The Sixth Sense. I don't know if you consider that a horror movie or not. It's not a horror movie, but it's like a ghost movie. Nice little surprise. Thought it was obviously really well done. Love movies where you watch the whole thing thinking something, and then there's a flip at the end, and you kind of reevaluate how you watch the whole movie, and then the next time you watch it, it's like totally different lens. Yeah. So love that in terms of a good, something that kind of deals with supernatural elements.
I think it's absolutely a horror movie. It has two things. That one, it has some really good jump scares in that movie. Like really, really good jump scares. The one where he's in the room, and then Misha Martin is the girl that I think she choked to death. She's under the bed, and it's scary as hell. And then the ending is like
one of the most classic endings to a movie.
100%. Like that nobody, I don't care who the hell you are, if you watch that movie for the first time and you're like, oh, I saw that coming, you are a liar. There's no way anyone knew that ending was coming. Just an incredible ending. You know, Haley Joel Osment, man, I don't think he was nominated, but what a young actor he was. So.
What was he in?
What was Haley Joel Osment?
No, he was in something where he was like a son of a billionaire, rednecky kind of dude in the past couple of years. Oh,
he was in The Boys. He came back in an episode of a few episodes of The Boys season 1.
There's something else too. Anyways, his career probably didn't go the way many people expected, but definitely a classic role for him, and I think it's worth putting on my honorable mention. So, what do you got next?
Absolutely, next, another kind of like haunted house movie. This is a movie I saw growing up with Nicole Kidman. Have you ever seen The Others? Do you remember that movie, The Others, the haunted house film?
No.
Obviously, by your expression, probably not.
No, I'm trying to think of it because I was thinking of something else. God, I feel like I did see that. Who else was in it?
No one else. It was
no one else.
There was like her as like an old kid, haunted house, ghost movie kind of happening around her. Amazing twist at the end. But I remember seeing this with my friends at the old Cinema 8 in Biddeford growing up, and us all being absolutely petrified by it. So I knew it had to make my list, and still kind of stands up to this day to me. So I got The Others on there as well. So,
love it. All right. So I think I only have...
We have two more honorable mentions.
All right. Next one. This might surprise you actually a little bit. But The Mist. Have you ever seen The Mist?
I have not seen the full of The Mist. I know the ending. I know, go ahead. But I know it's a.
So Thomas
Stephen
Jane,
King, right?
Stephen King. Yep. I think based on maybe a short story more than a book, but basically this mist settles on this town. You can't see more than a couple feet in front of you. All this crazy stuff starts happening. Big part of it takes place, I think, in like a department store kind of thing, convenience store kind of thing. All these like monsters are like flying in the windows, trying to get in there and get them. They ultimately make their way out into the mist. I don't know if they get in a vehicle or whatever, and they're heading down the highway south to try to just get out of the mist. And they eventually break the mist. And I think it might be like, I don't know what the sign might say, like "Welcome to New Hampshire" or something like that, or like it opens up and just looks like all chaos. And the thing that I always thought when I was watching it was like, just we live in Southern Maine, right? And the highway that they would maybe be on is like freaking 100 feet from my house, So like it just was one of those things where I really was able to like put myself in the movie. It was very scary because of the claustrophobic aspect of the mist, and thought it was great.
But one other thing, and I don't know if you want to go there, but because I know, like, I see it on my list as far as like endings go. Like that ending is like incredible. Like the very, very end of the film.
Yeah.
I don't want to give anything away, but like it's pretty. It definitely ends well.
Yeah.
So
love the concept. Let's just say I thought the concept was good, especially scary. Like I said, put myself in the shoes, so it was
awesome. Great. Great movie. My next one, and this is one again I've been kind of after you to watch. It came out just a few years ago. Florence Pugh was in it. It's called Midsommar. It's that cult movie that kind of takes place in
You're a big
Sweden.
cult guy, huh?
Yeah, I guess I'm like really into cults.
Yeah.
Like I just got a lot of like cult themes or whatever. But I mean, it's got like in the 90s% too. It's basically this group of friends get invited to go do this research for this cult community in Sweden. Ari Aster is a director who also did Hereditary, which almost made my list as well. Another phenomenal horror movie, but beautiful setting. Basically, all takes place in like a daytime type setting, so it's not like a nighttime, your typical scary movie. But it's petrifying, and this movie is what put Florence Pugh on the map as far as kind of a big time actor.
You do love Florence Pugh.
She's great. She is fantastic in this movie. She takes it. We talk about if you watch this movie and it doesn't get you in the first 10 minutes and you want to be done watching, I don't know how you can stop. Because the first 10 minutes of the movie, it really sets the tone.
What's this on right now? Is this on any streaming services?
It's on Showtime and Amazon. You have to buy it.
Okay.
It's on Voodoo, I guess, but no, you have to buy it.
Maybe I was looking through the stuff to rent on Apple TV the other day and saw it on there. So I saw it someplace, but
it's high on a lot of lists. So okay.
Love it. I'm anxious to see what your last one is. I'm gonna wonder if this is
my last honorable mention.
Yeah, we'll do it afterwards. So this is my last honorable mention.
Yeah,
now, I think this one will surprise you. This one actually surprised me too. But when I look at all these lists of movies, not the best movie, but like it definitely like left a mark on me. And it's The Strangers. Do you remember The Strangers?
Liv Tyler. I think we might have seen that together.
I feel like we did. That's an odd movie for us to go see in a movie theater, but I feel like we did.
I think we did, and it was petrifying.
Yeah, because like the bags that those guys had on their heads, I thought it ended pretty well because the people that broke into the house, I don't care about the spoilers at this point, were the same people that kind of rescued them at the end without the masks on, right?
Yep.
She got in the car with them. I think that's how it ended.
Yeah.
And it just had this like really bad vibe of like, this is like a true nightmare scenario that could like really happen.
I remember the trailer for the movie, all right, for it. Again, first off, great. Again, masks like make or break a movie. Like the masks in this movie are incredible. It's just like a simple like bag, you know, and the holes out, and one of the girls like a doll face type thing. So I remember the trailer, Liv Tyler, they're like really like messing with her, and they're got them tied up and they're lined up, and Liv Tyler's like, "Why are you doing this?" And the girl responds, "Because you were home."
Because you were home.
That's it. Like that was like the whole premise of it. There was nothing. There's no.
Just terrorizing these people. Yeah.
Absolutely terrorizing these people. So it was, it's a fantastic movie.
Right. So that's my last one, pal. What do you got for your?
It's funny. You're excited for my last one. This is one, and I was telling you and Curtis about this the other day. I am so high on this movie right now. All right. And this movie is not for everyone. It's called Terrifier. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see it.
Talk about a clown movie that's out there. The second one just came out in theaters. It's actually like breaking like horror movie records right now compared to how much this movie was made. The first one came out a few years ago. It's basically on this menacing clown guy by the name of Art the Clown. It's a violent movie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's quite violent, but it's just how it's made. It's just so well done, and I'm happy to see that it's getting the love it deserves right now because it's like kind of blowing up in the theater circuit.
Yeah.
So it's just something that I've been really excited about. So.
Is the first one on anything right now?
The first one it was on Netflix. I don't know if it still is. We'll look, and maybe when we post the thumbnail, we'll have like all the streaming.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. All right, cool.
So people can know where to find this. So that's mine.
Let's recap the list real quick. Right, correct me if I'm wrong because my sheet looks like freaking hell. But for me, so far, I got It at 5, Beetlejuice at 4, Halloween at 3, Scream at 2.
Yep.
Then for you, I have Blair Witch at 5,
Yep.
Halloween at 4.
Yep.
What do I get for 3 for you?
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods.
Yep.
2 is Scream.
Scream. Yep. So we had two overlapping here.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what your number 1 is.
Yeah, I actually, I'm just going to write that down real quick. Cabin in the Woods is 3. Yeah, so for me, we'll just jump right into it. When I think of horror movies, scary movies, Halloween movies, or things that just scare me in general, I think about Freddy Krueger. He's like my guy, right? And we'll talk about this part of what I want to talk about after. He's like my guy as a kid growing up. And I pick, I just say Nightmare on Elm Street because there's 100 of them, and I can't even tell the difference between the first one.
Do you have it? So are you saying the original is your, or
yeah, I'm just gonna pick that one because I even like Freddy versus Jason.
Freddy versus Jason was phenomenal. Yeah, I'm with you.
But
I love Freddy.
So I'm just saying Nightmare on Elm Street because of Freddy Krueger. The idea of someone that can get you in your dreams, right? The gloved fingers with the knives, the burnt face, the sweater, the hat. The performance by Robert Englund. Dude, that guy, like, Freddy Krueger was, like, my guy. I remember watching it with, I think Trevor Nugent, and I had him over for a sleepover when we were young, probably too young to be watching it, but we watched that, and I was like, holy shit, this movie's freaking insane.
It's a petrifying movie. The first one, specifically, then, obviously, there's many, many sequels, and then, I don't know if do you remember the New Nightmare? The one that Wes Craven also, so Wes Craven directed that one.
It was like a meta thing where it was like...
The movie was being made, like, in the movie.
Yeah, weird.
It's an awesome movie. Freddy Krueger is probably, the most petrifying, like, bad guy. Because what can you do to get out of your dreams?
Nothing.
You have to go to sleep at some point.
Yeah.
You have to sleep. And
he's kind of a loose inspiration for Vecna in Stranger Things. This year.
Yeah.
Not like a direct because of the dreams versus just like getting in your head anytime. But kind of brought back some of the Freddy Krueger vibes I think a lot of people compared to.
And Robert Englund, weirdly enough, is the guy that plays Vecna's dad in Stranger Things. Like in the whole timeline.
So they were just giving a nod to him. So for me, number 1, Nightmare on Elm Street. Boom.
It's Johnny Depp. One of Johnny Depp's first movies too.
Holy smokes.
And an iconic, talking about horror movie lore, one of the best kills in horror movie history was when Johnny Depp was being pulled through the bed and then just gallons of blood comes through the bed in slow motion and just an incredible movie. And Wes Craven. So your top 2 movies are Wes Craven movies.
Which is funny because they're like very different movies, but
very different movies, and shows what a talented guy he is. So
all right, so that's my number 1. I'm anxious to hear what your number 1 is, pal.
My number 1, another older movie, iconic movie, a movie that I've done deep dives in a long time. You probably know what it is.
I know exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's The Shining.
Yeah.
The Shining is a masterclass of a film.
The Steven Weber version from
the
90s.
Steven Weber NBC that Monday night. The funny thing is I remember watching. So you're talking about they did a remake version that Stephen King actually had a ton of involvement in because Stephen King famously hated Stanley Kubrick and hated the direction that he took The Shining in. So he wanted absolutely nothing to do with that movie that came out. So he came out and produced this new movie, and it was a made-for-TV movie.
I probably saw that one more just because of the time. It was.
But I watched that movie, and it was between that and the Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors, the Shinning episode that they did that introduced me to The Shining, and then I got a chance to watch the movie, and it's just Jack Nicholson's performance in that, and the whole like concept of like what's happening is just. It's iconic to me.
It really is. It really is. And I'm disappointed I didn't put it on there. It was on like my bigger list, but I didn't have the relationship with it quite like you did where the deep dives and all that stuff. Like I appreciate it for what it was. The 2 twin sister thing, the blood.
The blood coming up the elevator.
I mean, there's like some very iconic shots in that movie that will just represent horror movies forever and ever and ever.
Absolutely. And this wasn't your, like, slasher, like obviously Freddy and Michael and Jason, they all have like their place in that kind of stuff. This was a family three people that were completely isolated at a hotel in the winter, had absolutely nothing but each other, and one of them goes crazy. They don't know if it's because of himself or because of the hotel, and just ends up wanting to kill his family. And the ghost elements are scary. How it's filmed is scary. But then one thing that really got me into it, and shout out to anyone who would want to watch this if they're a fan of it, is this documentary called Room 237, which does an absolute deep dive on The Shining and what the hidden meanings are.
Yeah, Stanley Kubrick hit a lot of things in there, right?
Yeah. I mean, Stanley Kubrick, we know it's like, I think, a proven fact that he filmed the moon landing.
Yeah, I mean, didn't they fake the moon landing in the set next to The Shining? Yeah, something like that.
You love that. I mean, you love that theory.
Big moon landing guy. No, I don't necessarily believe that.
No, of course. Yeah. Just want to get off the record.
There's like a connection between a faked moon landing and Stanley Kubrick and The Shining and all that stuff. So it's a great little sidebar.
There's a lot of theories out there, but this was Jack Nicholson in his absolute prime. You know, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Chinatown was about 8 years before this or whatever. Guy, he's incredible.
Yeah.
And that ending shot on when they pulled this Overlook Hotel, and it's that big New Year's Eve party, 1921 or whatever, and he's in the picture at the very, very end. It's just what a way to end a movie. So
great pick.
Yeah. So The Shining. I was wondering, if we were gonna have any overlap. So our number ones didn't
overlap.
So.
Didn't overlap. I was interested to see if you could throw that movie It Follows on your honorable mention list.
It was next on my list. I'll talk about it real quick. Have you seen it?
I haven't, but it kept showing up on all these lists. Never like highly ranked, but always like on the list.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And fantastic movie. Basically, the concept is just kind of it's a very simple concept of. It's kind of a metaphor for STDs, to be quite honest, is basically this thing is following you, all right? And it doesn't, you're the only person that can see it. It takes the place of people and all that kind of stuff, but you're the only one that can see it. It's always going to come at you, and when it gets you, you will die.
Wherever you are.
Okay? Wherever you are in the world, it will get to you, and it will kill you. There's nothing Eventually. There's nothing you can do. You go to sleep, it's going to eventually get there. The only way to pass it on is to have sex with someone. So when you have sex with someone, then now that thing that is following you is following them. And then
it's like the moral thing of, do I do this knowing that I'm setting this person up? Yeah.
Because what ends up happening is once the thing gets that person, it then like goes to the next person, which is you. So you hope that that person just keeps passing it along, and it becomes further and further away from you. It's a great movie. Yeah. So I'm glad. That's an honorable mention.
Honorable mention. All right.
Put on there.
Last thing I wanted to do with you. Right. I'm going to read some famous horror movie villains, and I want you to rank them.
Okay. Love it.
Top 5.
So wait, you're going to give me the whole list?
I'm going to give you the whole list. Try to remember it. Like, I want like a top 5 from you of like iconic horror movie villains. I'm just going to read it, and I can read it again. But like Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, Leatherface, Hannibal, Pennywise, Leprechaun from the Leprechaun.
I'm the Leprechaun.
Hey, that's great. Pinhead, Ghostface, Chucky, Jigsaw, and Norman Bates. I don't know if you can remember all those. And Sam.
All right, so real quick. So after Pennywise, Leprechaun, Pinhead,
Hannibal, Ghostface, Chucky, Jigsaw, Norman Bates. I want like your top 5 most iconic.
Jigsaw.
There's other people you could throw in there, probably.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, throw them in there if you want, but like, do you have like a pantheon of these are the people that I think of when I think of horror movie villains?
Yeah, my number 1 for sure is Michael Myers. Yeah. He's my favorite villain. I think he's the best. So Michael Myers is on that list. I'm gonna go number 2. This almost made my list too. Pinhead. And the Hellraiser series just did a reboot on Hulu. Which
have you?
I have not, but I've actually heard really good things about it, way better than people expected. But that whole concept of hell and bringing people that deserve to go to hell down there, and that these guys come and get you. Pinhead is an awesome villain, and you might never have seen a horror movie in your life, but you see Pinhead, you know
what it is. Yeah, for sure. Very recognizable villain. So yeah, I see that up there. Yeah. What else?
So I'm gonna go 3. I'll go with your boy Freddy. Yeah. Because he's got to be on there. I mean, we talked already about it, and we both or have Jason masks, but the guy doesn't do it for me. He doesn't do it for. He's not on my list. Amazing mask. Like
That's a really
great.
legit mask.
Great mask, but the guy just doesn't do it for me. Leatherface, I gotta put Leatherface on there. Texas Chainsaw was also one of the ones that was almost on my list.
I never saw the original one, but I think me and you did see the 2003 one.
With Jessica Biel.
Jessica Biel.
We saw that.
And I actually thought that was pretty good at the time. Those things I'm never going to review that great, but like I thought it was pretty good at the time.
The original is a step above, though, and that was another like low budget, gritty film. And how this movie opened was like, this is based on a true story, because it was like loosely based on true, But back then you'd say that in the '60s and scare the shit out of people, you know. But Leatherface is a great one. So I have one more to pick between Hannibal, Pennywise, Leprechaun, Ghostface, Chucky, Jigsaw, and Norman Bates. I'm gonna go out of this list. I'm gonna go with Jigsaw.
Wow.
Who just a human guy. Seeing Saw, which almost again made my list. The original Saw, the first few actually were really, really good, but the original Saw I thought was brilliant.
I did too. I thought it was great.
The ending of that one, another great, amazing ending. He was just a smart guy who just wanted to do bad things to bad people. Then it kind of got weird down the road.
I don't think I've ever saw Beyond one, because maybe I saw two, but like definitely didn't see Beyond that. I know there's a new one coming out, but I remember recommending Saw to a buddy of mine that I worked with at the time because I thought it was good. Here I am making like a solid recommendation. He saw it and hated it. After that,
really?
Is it suck? Am I an idiot? Do I have like...
No. Saw. No, but I love that. I love that list. So, all right, can I just throw one thing at you real quick?
Can I give you my 5 real quick?
Oh, yeah, it could be your 5. Yep. And then
because there is some overlap. Freddy, obviously, number 1. I talked about this. Surprisingly, Jason is number 2. None of the Jason movies, Friday the 13th movies, made my list because I agree. The movies are never quite as good, but I did think Jason was very, very iconic. I always thought of, those Freddy and Jason is neck and neck. I always thought of Michael Myers a step below them. Chucky actually made my list because Chucky was, back in the day, that was the thing for me, man. Chucky and dolls and, very iconic for me. And then out of the rest of the list, I don't think it's quite as clear cut. I think the top 3 are head above everyone else. Chucky's kind of his own thing. And then it would probably honestly be between Pennywise and Leatherface. And I would even go with Leatherface too, because I thought he looks pretty legit. So that's my 5 pantheon for horror villains.
So out of these, so I'm just trying. I'll give you 5. I'm gonna give 5. Okay, so Freddy. We have Freddy. Did you have Michael Myers on your list?
Yeah.
So Freddy, Myers, Leatherface.
Yeah.
Let's say those 3, and let's say Jason. All right.
Yep.
So let's say those 4 people. Okay. Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, Leatherface. Who wins? Who wins in a fight between those 4?
Mike Myers, Freddy, Jason, and Leatherface. I kind of feel like those are that's a good matchup. I would probably say that Jason wins.
You're going with Jason.
Is that surprising?
Yeah. I know. I mean,
Leatherface and Michael Myers are just people.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yes.
Yeah,
they're people. Leatherface is probably gone. Doesn't look like the most agile guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's probably, he's tough, but you can take him out.
Yeah, I think we take his chainsaw away. And he doesn't look, very fit. So I think you could maybe outrun him a little bit. So, all right, so he's the first one gone.
Yeah.
Then Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers. So you say Jason.
Jason's just relentless, dude. He's not.
The guy can't die. Yeah, I guess. And he's got the machete versus Michael Myers, who's just got that, the knife. My money's on Freddy. If Jason actually goes to sleep, which if you see in the movie, Freddy versus Jason. But Freddy is just. He's so scary because he can transform in nightmares. Yeah,
Freddy probably is undefeated, right? But I don't know. As far as toughness, it's a battle. I mean, they obviously made Freddy vs. Jason for a reason, so
which was great. I highly recommend that movie.
I mean, can you believe they even made that movie? That's something you dream about as a kid. Oh yeah, how cool would it be if they made a movie? I think it was in 3D too, if I remember correctly.
It was in 3D. We saw that together. Alien vs. Predator and Jason vs. Freddy were arguments that people would have all the time growing up, and they made 2 movies out of it. So awesome.
All right. So anything else that we left out, pal?
No. Excited to do this. Awesome list. Love talking about it. So thanks for having me. So
awesome, pal. Thanks for coming on.
All right, but happy Halloween.
Thanks, pal. Happy Halloween.